Filmmakers up, last looks! Welcome, friends, to the Ink to Film podcast, where we read the book and then see the movie. I'm writer Luke Elliott.
And I'm filmmaker James Bailey.
And this week we wrap up Season 9 with a look back at the best and worst adaptations we covered in 2025. All right, James, it is another year in the books. Somehow, some way, we have made it through 2025. And we wrap up every year. If you're new to The Last Looks, this is our end of the year coverage where we do exactly what I said in the intro there. We look back at the best and worst adaptations. We also take a look at our least favorite reads and our favorite reads, and we reflect on some surprising moments and projects. So we have a lot to do in this episode, and it's always a fun one, I think.
Yeah, and here on this podcast, obviously, trying to figure out the worst is like pulling teeth. I'm just like, ugh, I hate doing it. So we're going to talk about those categories more briefly, I'm sure, than the others. But it's also fun just to hear the stats. Like, we've done this for, I don't know how many years we've been doing Last Looks. Like maybe
it's our 9th season, so this is our 9th Last Looks.
The fact that like every year we get to look back and see like what states we're doing well in and like who's listening and for how long, like all that stuff is really fun for us.
We only spend a little bit of time on that just because it's, interesting to us, maybe moderately interesting to listeners. But I think it's cool to kind of keep an eye on that stuff.
I just like to see, especially like the other countries and stuff, jockey for different positions. And I don't know, I think that's fun because it means that we're actually like reaching other people's ears, and that's like still pretty surreal to me.
Always fun for sure, man.
Yeah, and 2025 was a crazy year for us. I got married for one, which was took a lot of my time and was really fun. And also we did our first ever live show in front of a live audience at a large convention at WorldCon with a celebrity, with somebody who's a very famous author. Yeah. And that was like a huge step for us. And so that'll be fun to look back on as well.
We'll touch on that more as we get into the episode, I'm sure.
So what we like to do with these Last Looks episodes is first start by just talking about the number of episodes that we posted. So not counting bonus episodes or From the Vault, this year we posted 35 episodes, which is down from, I think, 42 last year. And that has to do with extra From the Vault episodes around the wedding. And then also, I think last year is when we started instituting like our break weeks, basically. So
yeah, our weeks where we focus on Patreon. Maybe a better way to think of it. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, we're still working, we're still doing stuff, but it's a way for us to make sure that we're pushing out a good product and not something that's like all crammed together with everything else. Yeah. So, and that schedule really has helped us too, especially with things like WorldCon and like, when things get backed up on us, we like that new schedule. So hopefully you do as well. So then last year we had 42, this year we had 35. Those are episodes posted. In those episodes includes our 350th Adaptation Hall of Fame, which we started doing a couple years ago, which we're now switching to doing once per year because now it just kind of makes sense for us and it's fun the way that we like get to create this like S-tier best possible adaptation list here with the Hall of Fame.
I look forward to those every year, man. I that's something that I'm so pleased with. I love doing that. And then like something about like truly kind of hanging some adaptations from the rafters and being like best of the best. Like there's something really fun about that, and it's always a tough decision too.
It is, yeah. Which reminds me of some of the stuff with Last Looks that we're going to get down into. So just to keep this rolling, total number of projects that we did. So this is just, no matter the number of episodes that it takes, this is like one project of some sort of book to some sort of adaptation. We did 18 projects. Okay. It's the same as last year because I think we did some longer ones last year, even though we did
some long ones this year too.
We did. And it's 36 total projects if you include From the Vault and the bonus episodes. So obviously this year we typically do one a month. This year we did 11 bonus episodes. And so that brings us up to like 29 right there. And then if you include the From the Vaults, 36. And so with those bonus episodes, just to recap some of those, we did Psycho 1998, wild movie. It was like the shot-for-shot remake. Nosferatu, A Symphony of Horror, the 1922 landmark German expressionist film. Nosferatu the Vampire, which was the Werner Herzog version that came out in like the 70s. We did Lord of the Rings, The War of the Rohirrim, which was that animated film. Adaptation tier list, season 6, which are, again, always kind of fun for us to do those event ones. I
forgot about that.
Pre-Hall of Fame Deliberations 2025, which I mentioned. Sonic the Hedgehog 2020.
Oh, yeah.
Catching up with former guests at WorldCon, which was a cool one to post as a bonus episode.
Yeah, that was a unique one.
Yeah. And then Ring, 1998, which is the original Japanese
People call
version.
it Ringu a lot.
Ringu, yeah. The Running Man, 1987, that's the Schwarzenegger original version. And then just very recently, Gawain and the Green Knight, the 1973 version.
Yeah, if you haven't looked at your Patreon bonus feed yet, if you're a patron, it's on there because it would have just come out close to this episode coming out.
Well, minutes before we started recording this episode. Yeah. So it's definitely out if you're hearing this.
Yeah.
From the Vault episodes, we did 7 this year. That's up from, I think, 5 or 6 from last year.
And those are former Patreon episodes that we released to the main feed.
Right. That was The Haunting, 1999, The Fall of the House of Usher, 1960, Fallout Season 1, which I'm currently watching Season 2.
I haven't even started it yet, but that's cool. Yeah. I'm excited.
Room 237, which is The Shining Dock, Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle, and former guests at WorldCon. So we released that both as a bonus episode and as a From the Vault episode so that people could hear that in a timely manner. Yeah, because that was so really fun for the show, and it was cool to see all those people again. It's
a fun one on YouTube too. If you are curious about our YouTube channel, you can see these people's faces and see a little bit of what WorldCon looks like, and I think it's a fun one to watch.
Very cool. Creative Conversations, which is something that we love doing on this podcast. We're really proud of these.
It's still a pretty new format for us.
Really proud of these. I mean, it's like getting to talk to the creators of the original source material after their work has been adapted. And I just think that is what this podcast is. It's fascinating.
I think I want to continue to try and do a few of those per year.
Yeah. So far, I think we've done at least 2 per year since we started it. We had Edward Ashton come on. He's the writer of Mickey 7 for the Mickey 17 adaptation, the Bong Joon-ho film.
Yep.
And then, of course, at WorldCon 2025, the guest of honor, Martha Wells, joined us for Murderbot, which was just unbelievable.
Mind-blowing. Highlight of the year for sure, as far as just a moment, just like a thing we did.
I mean, it was so huge. Like, I flew across the country.
It was the most I felt like we're a real podcast,
Yeah. I mean, we put the work in, but it's like crazy to go and have hundreds of people.
Like actually having a big audience that is listening to you, it's just really cool. I mean, I know they're there for Martha Wells.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Martha Wells is one of a kind. Obviously she wrote the Murderbot Diaries. All Systems Red was the novella that we read.
Yeah. Speaking of books, did you say how many books we read?
Number of books is 16, and that's including short stories, novellas, children's books, one play, and manga, novels. Everything.
I know we did a short story with like the monkey.
Yep.
We have manga. We have. Did you count each volume as a separate book for the manga?
I didn't, but I was going to ask you if you wanted to.
They're always like 400 or 500 pages, so you almost should. But then it's funny because you're counting Shrek as one book, and that thing was like 20 pages long. So
18 if we count all 3 Akira volumes.
Yeah.
So it's one play that we covered, which is Taming of the Shrew. 2 short stories / novellas, which was the Monkey short story, Murderbot Diaries novella.
Novella. Yeah.
2 children's books, The Iron Giant and Shrek. And I think The Iron Giant was more novel length.
Yeah,
I
it was
counted it as a children's book.
Novella length, I would say.
Yeah. And then 1 manga or 3, depending on how you count the Akira volumes.
Yeah, man, that's been a year with stuff from all over the place. We're covering, we're covering Akira on one hand, we're covering Nosferatu, and then we're also doing Shrek. We're also doing the Iron Giant.
That's the format of the podcast, though. I think if people looked and tried to see if we're only doing the most popular adaptations in the moment, which we do like to try to line up when possible.
It's really more something we should do more than we do. Really, it's rare when we can actually line that up.
And to jump ahead to the end of this coverage, we usually look ahead. I think this year is going to be filled with stuff we try to cover as it's in theaters, as everyth's hitting. Because
we always say that.
Good ones coming out. I just think there's too many coming out that we are going to cover. So we'll talk about that.
Yeah, we'll talk about that at the end.
Yeah, 10 novels. Dracula, Mickey 7, The Dragon Reborn, and The Shadow Rising for that coverage. So that's another reason why we got that in there. That was a lot of reading. Conclave, Ring, Night Bitch, Starship Troopers, The Long Walk, and The Running Man.
Yeah, two King books.
Yeah, man. Three King stories this year.
A lot of good stuff.
The Monkey, The Long Walk, and The Running Man. That's the book side of things. Now we're moving into the film side of things. Number of films that we covered, 14. 16 total watch projects, but 14 films. And that's actually up 1 from last year. In 2024, we did 13. So Bram Stoker's Dracula, Nosferatu 2024. That's part of the reason why we're up, because we did 2 for 1 project.
Yeah.
10 Things I Hate About You, Taming of the Shrew adaptation. The Iron Giant, Mickey 17, The Monkey, Conclave, Shrek, The Ring, Night Bitch, Starship Troopers, The Long Walk, The Running Man, and Akira. We also covered 2 shows. And one of them we talked about, Murderbot Season 1. We talked about this with Martha Wells. Incredible experience. But also, let's just say RIP to Wheel of Time Season 3. I mean, it's unbelievable.
It doesn't look like it's gonna get picked up.
It's not.
I think Rosamund Pike was kind of campaigning for it to get picked up, but I don't know if it's gonna happen.
I mean, we talked about it on the episode. It was really hitting its stride. We are obviously like fantasy fans. It's like one of my preferred genres, so like it's definitely like something that I'm seeking out. But the show was hitting its stride. I really felt like it was going to get renewed. Like I bought into it in every way.
In that episode, we were pretty optimistic. I think I was a little more like, I don't know, man. But you were very like, oh no, it's definitely going to get renewed.
It just doesn't make any sense, and it just comes down to ones and zeros, and like I think it's an accounting decision, and they have the rings of power over there to contend with the two fantasy shows, and somebody made a decision and canceled the show, and I think everybody was really upset about it.
I think they had a changing of the guard a little bit at Amazon, and it was one of the ones that ended up on the chopping block.
The internet cried out. I saw the people who were following along were really passionately like, this show deserves to be around,
especially because it was hitting its stride finally. Like I think it had its best season,
and also especially in comparison to some of the other stuff that's out there. Like, it's just wild. So bonus watches, we were talking about 16 total watches, including TV shows and movies. But if you also count in our bonus watches, that's 8 more. So that takes us from 16 to 24.
Wow. Okay. Cool. So we got a lot to draw on for these upcoming topics. But that's kind of an overview of everything we did this year.
Last thing I do want to talk about too, guests. We also like to talk about our guests.
Gotta highlight the guests. Thank you.
So we had 4 total guests. 2 of them we've talked about, 2 of them we haven't. Mickey 17 was Edward Ashton, Murderbot, Martha Wells. We also had some friends on. Laura of Why the Book Wins YouTube show came on for the monkey. Yeah. I think that's kind of almost an annual friendly guest at this point, right?
I think so. It's kind of like we're gonna have her on once a year if she's down for it. We usually go on her show as well.
Yeah, which is awesome. She does a good job over there.
At least once a year, and it's always a good time. So definitely happy that we were able to have her on again.
Yeah, and someone new to the podcast this year, we had on Shayna Hodge for Night Bitch.
Yeah, they are the leader of the local Portland book club that I'm a part of that has like over 400 members, and it's Discord attached to the Parallel Worlds bookshop here in town.
They came on kind of representing the bookshop in a sense, and also like, it was very cool to have them on for Night Bitch, and came on for both episodes, both the book and movie.
Yeah, shout out to all of our guests. It's been a great year for that. Once again, I always look at the list of guests and go, well, we only had on that many. I kind of thought we had on more than that, and I think we had 1 or 2 fall through. That happens all the time for different reasons. And then, sometimes it's also like we have a really busy fall, and so it's always harder to get a guest scheduled than it is to just focus on me and you getting something in. So I think partly that was a victim of having a really busy end of the year. And maybe why we didn't have another 1 or 2 guests like we normally like to.
It's also representative of like how much effort it is to have someone else come on, like scheduling wise, and get like we taking their time in that way, and then being generous with their time.
It's not an easy ask. I mean, like creative conversations are one thing because they're talking about their own work, but like if they're on for another episode, you're giving them homework too. You're asking them to read a book and watch a movie, and like. These are busy people usually who don't necessarily have time. So we're always very thankful if anyone ever takes the time to come on with us and talk about this stuff. It's very, very cool. All right, man. So that's what we did this year. That is an outline of all of it. It sounds like a lot. So if there's anything in there you didn't know we did and you're curious about, go check it out. But I think it's time to move into our first major category, and that is our kind of our oddball category. It's our most surprising. And I think historically we've each kind of thought about this in different ways. And that's fair. I think it's a little bit vague about what exactly it means to us.
I think it's kind of interpretive based on the work, and I'll talk about some of the reasons why.
So one thing we do as we go through these, all of these categories is if we ever name a project that or a title that is on both persons' list, the other person will chime in. Like, I'll let you have your say, and then like I'll chime in and be like, yeah, that's also on my list, and I'll add in my 2 cents, and vice versa. So that's what we'll do. Do you want to start off?
I can start off, yeah. I'll start off. We go honorable mention, then runner-up, then most surprising. So we're kind of starting from the third place winner, and then we move up to the most surprising. So starting out here, my most surprising honorable mention was The Wheel of Time Season 3.
Okay.
Yeah. Did you have that on your list?
It's not on my list. Yeah. Let's hear it.
So it was surprising to me because I just feel like what it takes to put together a fantasy show, where the show was at the beginning and how much they kind of shot themselves in the foot and then had to dig themselves out of this massive hole. Then season 2 felt like it did a lot of things that I was a fan of, but also I felt like it was like a little more mixed for me. But also the first season was the same. So I felt like I was kind of mixed on the show as a whole.
Both of them
I was
had that,
excited.
yeah.
I wanted to read more of the books. I wanted to see more of the show. And then season 3 came in and like exceeded expectations, really sort of nailed a tone, nailed like the world felt like it finally, all the groundwork had been done, and it's all like kind of the string is being pulled together for the show to like turn into this like tapestry. And so yeah, it was surprising to me that they were able to pull this off, and then also surprising because it got fucking canceled.
Yeah. Definitely surprising that it got canceled. I think that the third season was finally evidence for me that Rafe Judkins had a vision, and it was coming together. And I could see what this show is going to look like going forward. I was like, okay, I see what his vision for his version of Wheel of Time, because it's not the same as the books, never could be. The books are way longer, have way more material. So he's obviously having to condense a ton of things, and there's a lot of back and forth about things that get left out and how people feel about it, and changes to characters. There's things we didn't agree with early on, especially with Perrin, stuff like that. There's a lot of stuff like that it's a full caveat, but I really felt like the third season was like the proof of concept, and it was working. And so yeah, to have it canceled at that point is surprising. So yeah, I think that's valid. Do you want me to hit you with my runner-up now, my honorable mention? We can go back and forth. All right.
Yeah, let's hear it.
So my honorable mention for most surprising, the Conclave book.
Okay.
Specifically the book. This is a book that I had no expectation that I was going to like at all.
Yeah.
I'm not religious. It's all about people trying to become the Pope. I thought, okay, it's a thriller, so maybe there'll be some excitement to it, and there was. And I'm not saying it's a perfect book, and I didn't absolutely head over heels love it, but I had a great time with it. Enjoyable book, really fun project, but specifically the book was the one, because I knew I was going to like the movie. Like, I'd seen trailers, I knew, I could visually tell it was going to be interesting. I was like, I'm going to like that movie, but I just don't know if the book is going to be my thing. But I had a good time with this, so I thought I'd highlight it as a surprising read, because it didn't quite crack my like best reads or anything, but it was surprisingly good as to like what I was expecting.
Yeah. Also on my list is my honorable. It's my runner-up, actually.
Perfect. Get right into
it. For most surprising.
Yeah.
And I don't. It's funny. I didn't even like differentiate between book and movie. I think I was just surprised in the way that like for the things that you said. I was raised in a religious household. Am no longer religious in any way. Identify agnostic, and I kind of like turn my nose up at this kind of stuff a lot of the time. So for it to have like brought me into like a fun mystery, and like using the trappings of the Catholic Church as like the texture of the world, and some of the like the lore that's built in, and some of the ways that the selection of the Pope feels like almost like archaic, but it's still done this way, and then you're mixing in like modern technology and modern problems.
It's a peek into a world you're not supposed to see.
Yes.
And that's always got an inherent interest for me, that I didn't really think about how interesting it actually is to know about this secretive process and this secretive area and space. And I was quite fond of how that movie did it. But the book was the one to me that was the most surprising. But yeah, I think that's totally appropriate.
Yeah, and I would just say like Ralph Fiennes, the film's like incredible to look at, just like they're so well shot, and then like interesting kind of weird thing that happened was like there was an election of a pope like right around the time that we were covering
that was like a
that
weird
was like
serendipitous thing.
And so like
our Chicago Pope
at all. Right, our Chicago Pope. I'm so invested in this guy.
So far early returns look decent for him.
I don't know anything. I don't even follow it.
I don't know. I don't follow it closely.
I hope it's working out well.
I haven't heard anything bad, and I've heard a few things that I'm like, I agree with that.
Okay.
Pope.
Cool.
Yeah.
So what was your runner-up?
All right. So my runner-up for most surprising was the Edgar Wright Running Man.
That's my most surprising. It's my most surprising.
Your most surprising. Okay, so we are once again lined up. It was surprising in the sense of I have such high hopes and expectations for Edgar Wright. I think he's a fantastic filmmaker. And this just wasn't it, man. Something was off about it, and we talk about it at length. It's fine. It's just like it doesn't have the charm that I expected, and it takes a Stephen King book that is solid, but not certainly one of his best, and it was a little bit too faithful, I think, to it, which is not usually something we see being a problem, but I think here it kind of was. Not that it was like fully faithful, but in some of the ways in which it decided to stick to the book, I kind of wished it had tried something a little different. So I don't know. It's an interesting one, and I was surprised by it because it was one that we had been looking forward to for a few years now, and I think both of us had very high expectations for. Yeah,
my most surprising of the year. I thought before the year this could have been one of my favorite movies of the year. It was not one of my favorite movies of the year. It was bizarre. I think the movie, that's like kind of where I continue to land on it, is like it's a bizarre film that's trying to do some interesting things, and it's got like some of Edgar Wright's style, but at the same time it's like, as I said in the episode, like it's a bit more watered down. Like it felt like he wasn't able to really spread his wings and do his like Edgar Wright thing, and some of it just felt like it was almost bouncing off of his typical like his like handle of like dialogue and clever quippiness and like all like I mean I think on a technical level a lot of it was there, but at the same time it just like didn't strike me as like one of the most inventive films of the year, which I feel like an Edgar Wright film typically is, and it was Stephen King, Edgar Wright. We've been looking forward to it for years, so that's my most surprising of the year.
All right, you want me to hit you with my most surprising then, because not on your list.
Yeah, tell me.
This is one where I took the entire project, including a bonus that we did on it, and I'm looking at the Ring project.
Yeah.
So it starts with the Ring book, which has some very surprising character choices. There's one character who seems to be like a proud rapist. And it is weird, although maybe that isn't true. You have to read the book to I guess find out, but weird book. And then so I was surprised by that, but then we cover the Ring, the original film, and I was surprised at how well
Gore
Verbinski. Sorry,
not the original,
not the original,
the American version.
The American version. And that was the movie I had seen, but I didn't really expect it to hold up very well. And I was pleasantly surprised by how well that held up and reminded me of the fun of seeing it. And I'm like, that's actually a pretty good damn movie.
It's peak millennial horror, right?
Peak millennial horror is what we called our episode, I think. And then sure enough, we go to the bonus episode and we cover Ringu. And that was another one that I was very surprised by, because I had this built up reputation in my mind that it was going to be this like even more horrifying, dark, twisted version of this story, that like the Gore Verbinski film was maybe like a watered down version of this. That was kind of I don't know why that was the reputation I got for it, but that's the reputation I got for it. But then I was surprised that it was really more of just like a better crafted film with subtler scares, lower budget, and maybe it's more atmospheric, has a really excellent sort of texture to it, but ultimately I actually didn't really find it that scary. And so very kind of different than what I was expecting. So all in all, I was just thinking about all three points of contact with the Ring as a project were all surprising in their own ways. So I think as a whole, that was my winner.
Yeah, I can totally see that. I mean, I can see that especially through our coverage, and yeah, it was surprising in a lot of ways.
All right, so that's our most surprising topic. I'm going to hit you with, we're going to touch base with some stats real quick, and then we're going to get into our worst read. So as far as stats go, last year, real quick, our top 5 states from 5 to 1, Pennsylvania, New York, Texas, California, Florida. This year, coming in at 5th place, we have Florida. So from 1 to 5.
Yeah.
We have Oregon, not in our top 5 last year, has cracked in there. At number 3, Washington.
Nice.
Wasn't in there last year. Now, that kind of makes sense, too, because we did WorldCon.
Seattle.
Yeah. And at number 2, we have Texas, up from being number 3. And then at number 1, we have California, up from being number 2 last year, now back to number 1. I feel like it's been a number 1 in the past. So that kind of just interesting to see where we're at in the states and how things move around. I will say our stats for states on YouTube, I don't know how much I trust them, because we had I don't know how much I trust those. So grain of salt, all this stuff. It depends on what kind of demographics you get and what what websites are actually able to track. But anyway, that's what I was able to find with the available data we had.
Nice. Yeah. It's funny, like a lot of the places that I gravitate towards our audiences in. So like-minded folks for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. I think the most surprising may have been for me, Oregon cracking top 5, which we've done that before.
Oregon. Yeah. It's been
I guess
there
there's
before.
nothing super shocking here. This feels about right. Texas being as high as it is always kind of surprises me, but it's a massive state with a lot of people. So we've always talked about that.
Similar to Florida in a sense, just because like there are like kind of artistic.
Florida dropping all the way to 5 is actually kind of surprising.
It's a little,
I feel like it's
surprising.
usually higher than that.
Yeah, sign of the times, I'd say. Let's. I think those artistic hubs tend to pull some of those, because like you said, Texas, Florida, massive states.
Yeah.
California, obviously, artistic state, and it's cool to see Oregon represented, and Pennsylvania was there last year, right?
Yeah, Pennsylvania off this year. All right, man. So here we are. We are to our worst reads. This is kind of a bummer of a topic for me. I kind of hate shitting on books, but
this is the hardest. This and worst watch. Like I think I'm a little easier on being harsh on films because I feel like very strongly about that kind of stuff.
Whereas I'm easier being harsh on films because it's not my medium. So I'm like, fuck it, I'll shit on some films.
Yeah, worst books for this. These ones, like again, they're pulling teeth. Like it took me a while.
Yeah. All right. So do you want me to start with this?
Yeah, go for it.
So I'll start with my dishonorable mention, and that was The Ring book, which I've already touched on a little bit.
Yeah, this is my runner-up worst read.
Yeah, in the sense that there was just some things in that book, very weird, tough to read, off-putting, but there was some stuff that book had going for it. That's why it wasn't my winner.
Well, at the beginning of the book, I really felt like I was like, oh, this is going to do something special, and I'm going to really understand why it was adapted. And I understand from like a premise standpoint why it was adapted. But like you said, there's some strange stuff that just like, I don't know. For me, I was like, it's one of my least favorite reads of the year. Like, I don't think I'll go back to read that ever.
I will say, so I also almost put in Shrek here.
I'm going to jump in and just say it's my dishonorable. So we've talked about my number 3 and number 2 in worst reads. Okay. Shrek, it feels unfair.
It feels unfair. That's why I didn't ultimately have it. I mean, it's for kids.
Yeah.
And it's fine as a kid's book. It's just like, it's not nearly as good as the movie. So in that sense, it's definitely much worse. And it's okay. It has like a nice message behind it. So I feel kind of bad shitting on it. It's just like, and plus I'm reading it as an adult. It's like, it's not for me. It's not really fair for me to come in and say that.
Yeah, I mean, I just did it because I was in need of putting something at a dishonorable mention. It's fine. I think for a kid's book, it's cool that it like kind of breaks from tradition and does some things that are a little subversive.
Yeah, it's like talking about it centers an ugly character, right? And his ugliness is sort of his superpower. So that's kind of fun.
Yeah, definitely. So where are you at? What do you need?
All right,
need your runner
so
up?
I got my runner-up and my winner still. And we've already covered all yours?
No, my winner still hasn't been.
Okay. Yep. So my runner-up, Starship Troopers.
That's my worst read.
By Heinlein. Yeah, so I thought that might crack yours. This is one that, like, I think I was a little more positive on it than you, so it kind of tracks that you.
I did not like this book.
You didn't like it at all. I have respect for it. Like there's certain things I respect about it. The invention of like sort of power armor as a concept is really cool.
It's cool. Yeah.
There was some fun action in there. But yeah, there are just long political diatribes in here where I'm being lectured to with shit that I don't agree with, and
exactly.
It's like, and I wanted to argue with the book, and it leaves no space for that. It has no characters push back on anything. It's all just like, yeah, that's totally true. He was so brilliant for saying that. Didn't like that. So maybe it's colored a little bit by my respect for it, and also just for like reading about Heinlein as an interesting figure in science fiction and being kind of curious about some of his other work. There's enough there to where I'd be willing to read some other stuff by him. But yeah, Starship Troopers just wasn't really it, man. And that was my runner-up worst read.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's all 3 of mine. What was
that's your number one. Read? Do you want to talk any more about?
I mean, I didn't like it for all the same reasons. Like I don't like the preachiness. I didn't like the angle of it politically and also just like morally. Mm-hmm. It is. I don't know, and like it takes it very seriously. If you start thinking of it as a
metaphor, it's also not good.
Yeah, and we talked about it in our coverage, just like the film has like a satirical lean to it, and this is like purely based in like this is what he believed, kind of as what I think, and like maybe he's devil's advocate, maybe he's just like proposing some of the stuff, but ultimately to me it felt like
thought experiment kind of stuff. Some people have made that argument,
But it felt like he was very, like he was like, this is like right. He was like looking around like right.
It's like this is what society should be.
Yeah, I'm like I don't agree.
Yeah, very pro militaristic, like just stuff I just don't agree with. All right, but my number one, And this is maybe a little sacrilegious, but I think this kind of comes with a little bit of like expectation, right? And reputation. Taming of the Shrew.
Oh, okay.
William Shakespeare, the Bard, has appeared on my worst reads of the year.
Let's dunk on William Shakespeare
him
in the year 2025.
Overrated.
Shakespeare sucks.
Yeah, no, I mean, obviously fantastic, but like, I just didn't find, outside of a few passages here or there that had a bit of that like Shakespeare magic to them, I thought this was just a tough read. It's a story that I'm not interested in. And it was so forgettable for me. Like it's already fading from my mind so quick. And after Macbeth knocking our socks off, you know, like it's so sad, I think, by comparison. And yeah, I was kind of bummed out by it. And like, yeah, is it better than Starship Troopers? Probably. But like, yeah, my expectations were so let down. I was so deflated. And I think that affects me a little bit. So I gave it to Taming of the Shrew as a bit of a bummer there.
It's definitely my least favorite Shakespeare that we've covered, which hasn't been many. But I've read, Romeo and Juliet in school.
Yeah, I've read a few others.
Quite a few others.
Hamlet, yeah.
So for me, I was like, it didn't feel quite as important or quite as...
Not nearly as important or interesting or philosophical or groundbreaking.
And if anything, it's got a little bit of meanness to it that you could argue he was kind of like pointing at and like making fun of or like at least like drawing attention to. But at the same time, like I didn't buy it.
Well, and then we also talked about how there was this like potential framing device that was really interesting, but then it felt like it was abandoned and it didn't go anywhere.
I thought that it was like lost to time.
And there was some thought of maybe something's been lost. So I guess I'll grant that to the Bard if maybe there's more there that has been lost over time. And that's fair, but
anyway, you guys can all tell your high school English teacher that Luke says that William Shakespeare sucks. He sucks.
Well, at least The Taming of the Shrew sucks. I do not recommend, if you're going to read 10 William Shakespeare, plays, this shouldn't even be one of them.
I do look forward to reading more in the future because, like you said, Macbeth is incredible, holds up, and we've Romeo and Juliet's been very high on our
it's
our
almost won a
Patreon
couple of lists. I'd love to do that one.
list,
Classic, Hamlet is a big one that I read in school. There's a lot of great ones, obviously. All right, man. So that's the worst reads out of the way. Let's move into. So this is something we did for the first time last year. We did a breakdown of what platforms we were downloaded the most on, just by percentage. And I did it again just to see if there had been some movement there, and there had been some interesting movement. So last year, I don't have it in front of me, but I believe it was around 40-something% of our downloads came from YouTube. That is up this year to 57%. So we are now at more than half coming from YouTube, which is a big swing.
Yep.
Apple, on the other hand, was 25% of all of our downloads. It is now down to 11%. It's still our second biggest location, but it's down. It's like 1 in 10.
I think people are moving away from that platform even more as time has gone on.
Well, and podcasts are on a lot more things now. They're on everything now. Like if you have a music streamer, it's most likely got podcasts on it too. So I think a lot of people are starting to listen to them at the same place to listen to their music.
I mean, there's just a lot of upheaval too with like the Spotify stuff. Everybody's leaving, mass exodus of Spotify, and people are leaving Apple. So it's an interesting time. I think YouTube like cropping up for us at the right time has been pretty wild. Like we started this as a podcast first, and
YouTube was not our goal for sure early on. We didn't even have a YouTube channel for a few years.
Yeah, here we are. I don't regret it. I like the YouTube stuff. I think that's one thing that when we talk about looking forward, I continue to want to do more on YouTube and engage in that way more, because I think it's just like YouTube Shorts and all that stuff are like that's where people are right now, and it's fun to get engagement. So
another weird one. Then this wasn't in our top last year, but and I don't really know exactly what it means, but it's on our host Libsyn. It categorizes it as Firefox/other. And so to me that means people's browsers, but I'm not sure what /other means. Is it like other Firefox, Mozilla kind of browsers? I'm not really sure.
Right.
Maybe they have their own app. Mozilla has an app. I don't know. But that's how they classify. I'm not sure exactly what it means, but that was 10%. So 1 in 10 of our downloads came from that. And then Spotify all the way down at 6%. So our Spotify numbers have just been like not keeping up with everything else.
Well, wasn't it? It's been like kind of a roller coaster with Spotify, right? Weren't they like almost at the top? And
yeah, a few years ago it was one of our biggest. Yeah, it was really big. It was like when they first launched podcasts, we were doing well on there. And then I feel like over time, we've seen a lot of other platforms continue to do well or even grow, and Spotify has been kind of stagnant. Not sure why. Hopefully that changes in the new year. Like, yeah, I'd be down for more people to check us out on Spotify. And then all of our other platforms combined, last year combined for about a quarter. This year it's down to 16%. Again, I think it's just further showing the domination of YouTube. So 16% now for all other platforms combined, which is like over 100 other sources. All right, yeah. So that's the breakdown of where we're being downloaded. So just it gives you maybe an overview of the shifting landscape of podcasting.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, at least
especially
for us.
with the YouTube stuff, because it's YouTube. Some people, like, you know, they just click on the YouTube video and they don't even watch our faces moving around. They just want to listen.
For sure, yeah. Well, on YouTube also has YouTube Music now, which is something I've been playing around with, and you can listen to our podcast on there. I think it's just as audio, so it's like you can have just audio listens on YouTube, and it still counts as a YouTube download. So it's a little weird because it's like I don't know how to track that. But anyway, let's move on, man. We are on to
one of the best categories.
One of my favorite categories.
Yeah.
Maybe my favorite. And that's the best read of the year. I think I hit you first with worst read. So how about you start off on this one? Best read. How many do you got first off?
I have 4, 2 honorable mentions, a runner-up, and a best read.
Same. I have the same. I do have one book that falls outside because I read it independently and you didn't read it. I just want to shout out. Maybe I'll do that now.
Yeah. You don't even know if I read it. Maybe I did read it.
Maybe you did.
I'm
so for the first time this year, I finally got to the Locked Tomb series. And specifically, I'm going to shout out Gideon the Ninth. Is the first book in that series.
One, yeah. I've heard it. It's an incredible,
very cool book. Very strange book. It's about necromancers in space, and it's very like, but it's got this like weird tone of like just like almost like Tumblr humor.
It is like satirical. Yeah,
it's like it's not even satirical, but it's like the characters talk like they are like witty teenagers and stuff, and like it's so interesting how this Tamsin Muir was able to pull this off. And I know a lot of people don't like it for this exact reason, but like it's also makes it such a unique experience. And on top of that, it's this like just overwrought Gormengastian necropolis and like spaceships and necromancy and all this cool stuff going on, but then you have these characters who are talking like they're straight off of Tumblr. So I don't know, it's such an interesting dynamic, and it just is a really fun read. I think the first book is the best of the two I've read. I did also read Harrow the Ninth, which was the sequel, and I think that was one of the most ambitious books I've ever read. And I can't really get into why without spoiling it, but like crazy ambitious. Makes it actually a very difficult first read, but I'd be excited to reread it because it would make for a very different reread. Anyway. Yeah. But yeah, those are not something with adaptations, so maybe one day down the road, but right now it's just something I've read that I enjoyed.
The TBR continues to grow. That one's definitely been on my list for a long time. I tend to read a lot of fantasy when we're not reading for the podcast. And
great cosplay with that world. You always see people at like every con. They got
like
the
skeletal
skull
stuff,
face
right?
paint with a pair of aviators on, and a fucking
rad.
katana. Like it's just really cool.
It just sounds badass. Like it sounds like something that like is like effortlessly cool, and like I really want to dive into that world. But the dialogue's interesting. I wonder if that's like an approachability sort of factor, or if that,
it is super approachable in that way. It kind of helps honestly keep it from being kind of too distant from our world.
All right, so I guess I'll start with best read.
Best reads. We're on to best reads. Yeah, what do you got? It's got some honorable mentions.
Again, I just said that I'm a big fantasy reader outside of the podcast. Like this could be one of my better. Like it could creep up the list if I was being more just like towards my taste, I guess. But The Shadow Rising for Wheel of Time made my second honorable mention.
So that's
really
book
good book.
4.
Book 4, yeah.
Yeah.
Really good book. I feel like it took Wheel of Time into the space of like where I always wanted it to be. A lot of the setup of like the first 2 especially, and even into the third novel was like kind of getting to the point where it was like repetitive a little bit with like doing some similar kinds of things. And this opens up the can of like, okay, now it's time to really open up this now I understand why it's a 15-book series, and like kind of starting out to open it up. And it's just like I if there is a silver lining from the show being canceled, is that like at my leisure I can just read Wheel of Time now, and like I will be doing that. I'm sure 2026 might be the year that I read all of them.
I'm bummed we're not gonna be recording episodes on it now though, because
I know
that would have been fun. But this was also an honorable mention of mine. This is a book. It's one of my favorite Wheel of Time books. I have historically talked about how rereads sometimes won't get quite as much love from me because I'm focusing on the experiences of reading it this year, not the experience of reading this book ever. And of course, something like this that I read many times as a kid, it was just a different experience returning to it as an adult. But I really had a good time with it, so I wanted to shout it out as an honorable mention. I do think this is the best Wheel of Time book we've read so far on the show.
Yeah. I think so.
And so, yeah, it felt like it deserved it.
Yeah, and I want more from Matt, dude. I'm so excited to read more about Matt down the line.
For sure, dude.
I'll have to touch in maybe, I don't know, in some bonus episodes or something.
There's more Matt chapters. I'll give you that.
Yeah, cool. All right, so I guess I'll go to my next honorable mention, and this one actually swapped the runner-up and this honorable mention. I was kind of back and forth with. This one's gonna be Night Bitch.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So that
Rachel
was
Yoder, I believe. We had Shayna Hodge on for that. Yeah.
I just really enjoyed what this book, kind of the space that this book put me into, and I like to live, and that's what I love about film in a lot of ways, and obviously just storytelling in general, is getting to perceive even a glimpse into somebody else's life, a glimpse into another experience, a glimpse into what the many faceted lives of what people go through. And then this book does it in such a fun way for me, where I like this kind of shit. I like to get weird and dirty.
Yeah.
And this book just did that for me. And it did it in such an entertaining way, in such a fuck yeah, kind of like punk rock way.
I liked how kind
really
of dark and weird and literary it was.
Yes,
that was some
too.
of the stuff that I was missing in the film adaptation that I
Yeah.
really appreciate about that book. Yeah, that's a good one, man. That's a good call. It didn't actually crack my top four, I guess is what we're going with here. But it might have been, maybe if I had included a fifth. It definitely is up there. I'll hit you with my my other honorable mention there, since it hasn't been talked about yet. That was All Systems Red by Martha Wells. This was the book that Murderbot Season 1 was adapted from, and this was a reread for me. It was actually my third time reading it, and yet it still cracked my top 4, so it kind of shows you my appreciation for it.
This is on my list. This is my best read of the year.
Best read of the year. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, again, third read, so I feel like that almost docked a couple points from me. I'm glad to hear that it was something you really liked, though.
I loved it. I feel like I could have gone back again. This is just how I'm feeling today when I was setting this list up. But ultimately, what this project means to me for the podcast now, but just in general, sitting down to read this, it was a really unique perspective, a really cool character, a really fun world, an identifiable character that represents so many different types of people or sentience or you know what I mean? It's in some ways it's so relatable, but also so alien, and it's I found that to be fascinating. And then the world that was being built up and the way that it was just fun, tongue in cheek, but also had this cool kind of more serious world built around it. Yeah. And then in meeting Martha Wells and seeing her as a person and kind of seeing okay, she of course she created a world like this. This is it's I don't know. I just found it to be really fun, and it's something that I'll read every story that comes out in that series going forward.
Well, hopefully we can continue to cover it. So I was going to say, one of the other things I think for me is that when I think about Murderbot Diaries, and I have not read them all, but when I think about the ones I've read, book 1 is kind of lower on the list, and so I'm very excited to return to this world next year. Hopefully in the next year. That's when we can talk about looking ahead. They're supposed to be covering the next, I think, 2 books. So we might be reading multiple Murderbot books whenever we do get back to it, and I'm very excited to get into book 2, because that's, I think, my favorite of the ones I've read so far.
Yeah, and it's gonna be fun to continue to see it adapted, because if you haven't seen the video, definitely check it out on our YouTube channel. But when we interviewed Martha Wells and we did our creative conversation, the cast of the show sent in a video for her to congratulate her for being the guest of honor at the convention. So we have this interesting connection to all of the little parts of it. And yet just me by myself in my room reading Murderbot, I identified with this character. I thought it was such a fun, cool world, and I was just instantly kind of in love with it. So that was my favorite read of the year.
I love that, man. All right, so my runner-up then. Oh no, do you want to hit me with your runner-up? Because you have one more you haven't talked about yet. Yeah.
Runner-up before Murderbot that we haven't talked about was Akira. Yeah,
it's also my runner-up. I'll just go ahead and say. So we have lined up there. Yeah.
Cool. I mean, just check out the episode. It was our most recent. It was our most recent episodes. I love manga. I love anime. I love a lot of what that film was doing and the way, but like specifically going to the manga. I just felt like Otomo being the creative force behind the manga, the film, having such singular vision. We haven't even finished the manga.
Yeah, that's one of the things I was talking about, how that's my runner-up, but part of it is I haven't finished it yet.
And I am ready to finish.
Oh, dude, you got the special edition box.
I got it. Yeah,
that's so sick. I did get. You can see them back here, up there. I do have the other 3 I got for Christmas as well, so I have all 6 now, but they're not quite that. They're not the hardcovers. Yeah, that's sick, dude. That looks so good.
We're gonna finish this. I'm determined.
Yeah, I think that'll be a bonus in the new year. I think we'll read the final 3 volumes, do them as a bonus. Maybe we'll do 1 episode per volume or something, since our bonuses are a little shorter. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. Anyway, I just, in terms of a manga, I like Otomo's like influence like can't be overstated. Like it's just like in reading it and getting the source material for a film that I've loved for a long time that meant a lot to me and something that I continue to engage with in both mediums. Like honestly, this could have been my best read of the year just because it was like, I think if we had finished it, maybe it could have gotten to that height, but because it's unfinished, I'm kind of like, but I love reading manga and it's just like it feels so natural for me, and it was such a cool project that actually the patrons voted on, so it was cool that they let me cover that. And right after I'd been to Japan, so it's a lot of like synchronicity stuff happening, and it was a great time to read it, and I had a lot of fun.
Yeah, so one of the things that also held it back for me from being my best read is I was like, well, really, it's like 3 volumes reread, so it's kind of 3 different books. And admittedly, I think the first of those 3 volumes was the weakest. Yes, it introduces the world, but it was my least favorite of the 3. I'm not sure. I might put 2 as my favorite, but 3 had some really cool parts too. So 2 and 3 were to me like the step above 1. And so I kind of comboed it as volumes 2 and 3 were my runner-up, even though it's kind of 2 books, but I'm kind of counting them as ones. It's kind of weird, but like that's how I was looking at it. But yeah, and I'm not someone who reads as much manga, but man, it was fun getting into it and just a cool story. And yeah, a little bit of recency bias maybe, but I like to think that I'll look back at these fondly.
Yeah.
Which leaves my best read, which didn't even make your list.
I know. I want to hear it.
You think you know what it is?
I feel like I scoured this list. I'm not sure what else I could have.
Maybe you didn't realize I liked it as much as I did.
Yeah.
So my favorite read this year was
was it The
Long Walk?
Okay, yeah, I got it. Just in time.
Just in time by Stephen King. King is someone who means a ton to this podcast. We've covered him a lot, going back to our very first project. And I think previous years, maybe it was even last year, we were like, oh, we love Misery. Misery is so good. He kind of cracked our top lists again. And to be damned if I read The Long Walk this year, which is like maybe his first book he ever wrote. Definitely his first book that ended up getting published that he wrote. And I was just enamored with this version of King, and I thought it was really bleak, dystopian, just like thought experiment of a novel that I loved the execution of. It ended in a kind of ambiguous way, which was very thought-provoking for me, and I just find myself returning to that ending and just like trying to picture it and trying to think about what actually happened there, which I can't get into without spoilers, but I really had a good time with that book. Yes, it has some of like, early King's, flaws that are present there. So I'm not trying to say perfect book or anything, but man, I just had a good time. And I'm thinking about my top King books, and like I feel like The Long Walk is going to slot in there somewhere in my top 3, top 5, maybe. And it's up there though. I thought it was a really, really good book. So it was my winner this year. It's my favorite read.
Super solid book. And really loved reading it. Like you said, Stephen King means so much to the podcast. Yeah, I that whole project was one that I really enjoyed. And it was so interesting going back to back with 2 Richard Bachman stories, and like one that we like on both ends liked more than the one, the ones that followed. Yeah. Like The Running Man just didn't kind of hold up to the Long Walk. I think that's a worthy best read though. Cool. I'm glad that you picked that one.
All right, man. So now we're going to touch on our top 5 countries outside the U.S. where we were downloaded. Briefly, last year, coming in 5th place, we had India, then Sweden, Australia, Canada, and the UK. This year, coming in 5th place, once again, India. Then we have Australia. We're going on to 4 instead of 3. Canada, and then newcomer Brazil at number 2.
Brazil. Brazil.
Yeah, I don't know why, but that happened to be the case. And then at number one, once again, the UK. I think that's going to continue to be the case. I don't know. It's interesting. It's interesting that the UK gets more than Canada pretty consistently. But yeah, those tend to be high performers on our top country list.
Good to know. Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, maybe it's like the shift to YouTube. Maybe like some demographics are more on YouTube or this or that. But yeah, I always am astounded by, for one, just the idea that like a lot of people are listening to us in English, maybe with subtitles that are translated.
Well, and I was thinking about this. The translation stuff is getting a lot better now. There's a lot of like translated subtitles you can turn on. That's one element that is getting better. I don't know if that's what people are doing. Also, just a lot of people speak English all over the world.
Yeah, totally.
So it's an interesting phenomenon, though, for sure. I also don't know. It's the world of bots out there and stuff. So is these even all real? Who knows?
We're just talking to bots.
We're just talking to bots.
Nobody's actually ever listened
to this
podcast.
Know.
It's just us, man.
Yeah. We're just speaking into the void of the dead internet. Let us know in the comments below if you're a bot.
Tell us.
Or a Murderbot, maybe. No, let us know in the comments below if you're a human, because that's not something a bot would say.
In the comments, we're gonna leave a CAPTCHA, and if you can complete it, you'll prove that you're not a bot.
Yeah. How many bicycles are in this picture? Yeah. So worst watch. This is the bummer movie episode, adaptation episode, worst adaptation. We could think of it that way too. Worst watch of the year. My dishonorable mention is going to go to The Running Man 2025, Edgar Wright, which is notable because we also watched The Running Man 1987, but I ultimately had more fun with that movie, even though I don't think it's a better movie. I had more fun watching that movie. So if I had to pick just my worst watching experience, it's going to be that one. So the Edgar Wright Running Man, and it's kind of similar to like my read and stuff. It's kind of like part of it's surprise, part of it's like expectation, but ultimately it was just a letdown, and that letdown feeling is just not a good one to walk away from the theater with. And so ultimately that drug it down for me. It's not my worst watch, but it is dishonorable mention. It's right there at the cusp.
That one didn't make my list, and I think a bunch of reasons, but I think like I was a little higher on it than you were to an extent, but also it was in my most surprising, because it is surprising to me that we ended up with what we did. But I think there's a handful of worse things that we watched in terms of like a film, but I understand why you'd put it there. Yeah, expectations are like that, right? Like
they're like that.
Bummed.
Man.
It's like you wanted to love it. So
yeah,
I get it.
You got one you want to hit me with?
Yeah, dishonorable mention I'll give. This is one of our bonus episodes that we covered, and this is the Lord of the Rings: The War of the Rohirrim. Mostly because, again, expectations for me. Like it was like a Japanese animated film that was going to adapt Lord of the Rings, and I think like the anime unlocks so much cool aspects that allow a story to kind of reach into another like echelon of like believability and like surrealism and some of this other stuff, and the film like kind of took advantage of it at like maybe one point, but other than that it was just like kind of was a nothing story. I think the story really held it back, and it was like I was just disappointed that we didn't get something that like is on the level of like a Peter Jackson film but in an animated form, because that world does have plenty of worthy stories that could be animated that would be incredible. And then also just I don't know, that you know, like you said, expectations. I wanted this to be something that I could tell people like, you got to check this out, and I didn't see it in theaters.
So this is one I did see in the theaters. And then we watched it for the bonus. This is also on my list, and in fact, this was my worst watch of the year. I think you're being kind. I think you were a little rosier on it. It was a movie that, when rewatching it, made me even angrier. I was so disappointed. Because I wanted this movie to be good. I love animation, but instead we just got ugly, muddled backgrounds. We got nothing super visually interesting. The character work was at times good, but at times just kind of very standard anime fare. I wanted more creative risks being taken. I wanted more of the weirdness of the Lord of the Rings universe. Very little of that made it in. There was a little bit at one point, and then that was it. And then the story itself, they're adapting like one page out of one of the appendices. And even that, I just don't think it works very well as an adaptation. This was a bummer of a movie. I went and saw it with my friends. I remember it bombed in the box office, but I went and saw it with my friends, and Yeah, man, it just wasn't good.
I think we talked about this in the film as well. I think like they stripped budget, and also
there were reasons for sure.
It was an attempt to like retain film rights too. I think.
Whenever I hear that, I'm like, oh man, some of the worst things, like that's the case, right?
So this honorable mention, it's your worst.
That's my worst.
I guess I'll move on to my runner-up for worst watch. And this is because you and I talked, and we had to have something from the main feed, not just bonus episodes.
Yeah, that was my running man.
Yeah.
That was my,
because I had to put something from the list. This was, again, harder for me to do because I'm looking at the list. I'm like, we covered a lot of great stuff this year. There's like maybe one or two things that are like iffy, but nothing like terrible. So I came up with Starship Troopers. And I like the film. I think that I was just looking at the list of what we covered, and I'm like, okay, that's better than Starship Troopers. That's better than Starship Troopers. I like the satire. I like the effects are at times really cool. I like what it was doing, but ultimately, like, having watched it, I was like, I don't know. It's fine. It's a pretty good sci-fi. I think other people would disagree with me, but for me, like, I have the nostalgia of having seen it when I was younger, but it just like, I don't know. I would put it into like a great threshold. Sounds like it's a good movie. And everything else that we covered this year seemed, on the main feed, seemed like it was better.
Well, somebody on this podcast will disagree with you in the sense that I think it's a good movie. Yeah, I don't know that it's great, but this was definitely not one of my worst watches. I like this movie a lot, and it's Verhoeven. He's ambitious. I like the way he makes films. It feels very unusual. And I thought this movie held up pretty well. Do I think it like fully realized its vision in the perfect way? Probably not. Its messaging sometimes gets lost in there, but I had fun with that movie. So, but you know what? I'll respect the list.
Verhoeven has some much better films than Starship Troopers, in my opinion. But
Total Recall,
or RoboCop. Like, he's got some good films.
He does. All right, so I will get you with my one. There's one I haven't talked about yet. It's my runner-up. This is a movie that I think you name checked earlier. Maybe it was just when you were running down things we covered. That is the Gus Van Sant. Psycho remake.
Yeah, that's my worst watch of the year. Yeah.
This is your worst watch. Okay,
yes,
so this was my runner-up. It's your worst. This was the shot-for-shot remake of Psycho.
Vince Vaughn,
playing where Chris Perkins played as Norman Bates, and it's one of those. It's such an interesting example of an adaptation thing where it's like, I'm glad someone tried this because it is truly shot-for-shot. And like, that's wild. I mean, there's like a couple of things he added in that were different, but like for the most part, it's exactly that. And it really just shows you that just because something is shot for shot doesn't mean it's as good. And there was so much of the magic of that original film that is just lost in this. And it's amazing that it'll take a film that is like, I hold in such high esteem and then it'll rocket all the way to the bottom of the list. It just felt wrong. It felt like a poor imitation. I don't know, man. It's weird that this movie, exists, and it's also kind of weird that it's not good.
I love that this movie exists. It's a bad movie. I love that it exists though, because it shows that like you can't discount someone like Alfred Hitchcock and someone who has like, he's intentionally doing things with a vision, and like this is like where it's like artists come into play, and AI can try to copy whatever it wants to try to copy, and whatever at some point you can shot for shot remake whatever you want, but it takes like an eye. It takes like Alfred Hitchcock was involved with the casting. He was involved with everything, so every piece of that came together.
Those performances that we got just couldn't be recreated.
Yeah. You can't recreate it. Vince Vaughn cannot do. He's a different kind of performer. I don't think he's as good of a performer as Perkins, and so you just end up in a scenario where like
performance that just can't be replicated.
Clearly. It'll never be no one can replicate it at Borderline, and like so you're all of this just feels wrong going into it. So what a fall, like what a crazy hubris. I can't even imagine trying to be a filmmaker, trying to be like, I'm gonna go in and remake.
This movie's got Viggo Mortensen in it.
Yeah,
so it's set up for us to like it. We like him.
You would have thought that would immediately make it the best movie of the year. Yeah. It's just a difficult film to wrap your head around, and the fact that it got financing and the fact that it's here. It is kind of just a slap in the face to Alfred Hitchcock and Psycho. So that's my worst watch of the year.
All right, man. So we got our worst watches out of the way. I'm going to hit you with our top 5 most downloaded episodes of 2025. I think this is a cool little heat tracker for people. They're curious if there's anything that they missed that they should have checked out. So one thing to note with this is that in previous years, I've definitely broken up YouTube audio and then like our combined best of. But for the first time ever, I think because YouTube is just starting to be the majority of our downloads, our top 5 most watched videos are also in the same order our top 5 most downloaded projects. So I'm going to save all of that because that's all the same now, but I will momentarily focus on audio only because I do think it's interesting to look at what was the most popular audio-wise. From 5 to 1, Starship Troopers, 1959 novel, was our number 5 most downloaded in audio. Number 4, All Systems Red, cool. The Murderbot first book.
Yeah, good book.
Number 3, Murderbot Season 1, Episodes 1 through 5. Number 2, Murderbot Season 1, Episodes 6 through 10. And number 1, Martha Wells reflects on Murderbot Season 1. So 4 of the top 5 audio, all Murderbot. Yeah. Related content, and then 1 random Starship Troopers book episode.
Yeah, we got the Martha Wells bump there.
We got a big Martha Wells bump there. Okay, so now let's look at total downloads and YouTube, because it's actually a different list. It's quite different. Number 5, Tragedy Becomes Art. This is our Long Walk movie episode. Nice. Number 5. Surprisingly did quite well on YouTube. Happy to see. And yeah, comes in at 5th place. Overall for downloads.
Really great film. Like I love that film. Definitely among my favorite films of the year, I'd say.
Well, we'll find out next in the next topic whether or not it is truly. Number 4, Nosferatu, A Romance with Death. That was a very early episode for us this year. It is the Eggers adaptation, his attempt at Nosferatu. Number 3, we have Bram Stoker's Dracula. That's the movie. A Vampire God was this episode, and that's the movie by Francis Ford Coppola. Not the book episode, the movie episode specifically. It was our 3rd most downloaded episode of any that we released this year. Did quite well on YouTube. Cool.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah. Number 2, and this is crazy to me. This is the 2nd most downloaded. I think we all know what our most downloaded is. I'll just go ahead and say that was our Creative Conversations with Martha Wells.
Yes,
that
obviously.
Far and away our most downloaded episode on both audio, video, everything.
Yeah,
massive.
That was our live show. It was amazing.
It was great. It was so glad to see that it got the numbers it got to, and continues to get. But number 2, surprising for me. Do you have any thoughts of what this is?
I would have thought more Murderbot, but now you're making me think it's gonna be. I don't know. I genuinely don't know.
Yeah, 10 Things I Hate About You. The movie adaptation of Taming of the Shrew, which was super fun. You know, we called this "It Shouldn't really Work," but then our answer to that is, but it does. And yet this movie is very fun. I had a really good time with it, and yeah, comes in at 2nd place, our 2nd most downloaded episode. So if you happen to miss our 10 Things I Hate About You coverage, definitely check that one out.
It's really fun. I mean, and it hit our generation squarely. I don't know if that's like indicative of like who's listening to our podcast or what, but that it's a really fun episode.
I think it's a beloved film though, and I think that's we touched on that. All right, man. So we are on to our best watch. It's our biggest category. Ultimately, we're an adaptation podcast, right? So this was our top 5 adaptations in 2025. We're gonna go back and forth. I think we both have 3 honorable mentions, a runner-up, and a winner. Do you want me to start, or you want to go first?
Yeah, you go first.
All right. So my first honorable mention, we've talked about it some, so we don't have to go too far into it, but I'm going to give it to Conclave, the film. This was the same director who did All Quiet on the Western Front. Comes over from this, crazy war film that we loved. And he comes over and he does Conclave. And Conclave is like a movie I didn't expect to love. Visually astounding. Had such a good time with it. Just a really good. I was like coming up with theories about people wearing glasses, looking for metaphors and like paintings that were being referenced perhaps, and the way light is used in that film. I just think there's a lot going on there. And I just had a great time with it. So I think it unfairly got labeled like a film for retirees and stuff. And I just don't think that's really fair. I think it's actually a really good movie.
What's crazy is that oftentimes some of my favorite movies of the year fall into that category. And I'm like, people just don't understand what they're missing, because it's like, this is high level, expert level filmmaking.
It feels kind of like it's like a for Catholics movie, but in many ways it's not. Like I think some might enjoy it, but in many ways it's going to piss off some Catholics. So
I mean, conservative Catholics wouldn't like this film.
not,
Yeah.
and don't.
And it's I enjoyed it. I really think that this film had a lot of merit.
Did it make your
like,
list?
It didn't make my list. I really thought about it. Yeah.
Okay,
but
cool.
I love
it when we're going to highlight some different titles here. I love that when we have some disagreement.
So this will be a surprise, I think, to many people. But I want to shout out this film because I think it's like, I like seeing people take swings. My number 5 honorable mention, my last honorable mention is Mickey 17.
Okay.
And this is a Bong Joon-ho film, is a filmmaker that I love. I think is always doing interesting things. I think always has an interesting perspective. This movie has some batshit crazy elements that I think turn people off. It's, in some ways we talked about how on the nose it might seem in many ways, but even talking to Edward Ashton about this film, and like, cool. It made me appreciate it more. I would just love to be a fly on the wall to see a film like this made, and like to see... I just think it's like this is bold filmmaking and bold storytelling, and like it's not playing it safe, and I don't think it did particularly well at the box office. It's a bit divisive, but I loved watching it. I watched it, we watched it in the theater, and I was like, I loved it. I thought that the creature design was really interesting, and like of course it took like some really different kind of leans away from the original source material, but I just had a great time with it. I loved it.
Exciting science fiction, new idea. Talking to Edward Ashton was really cool. He's an impressive guy.
Visually, really interesting film as well. Like
absolutely.
Just the snow.
So this did not make my top 5, but I would say just outside of it. So I think that's appropriate. I like that it made yours. And again, that's at least 2 now that we've disagreed on. I like to hear that. So I'm going to hit you another one of my runners up. That's going to be 10 Things I Hate About You.
Okay.
This is a movie that I had never seen. So I think that kind of gives it a little something, because I've talked about how sometimes like revisiting things, maybe it makes the experience of watching it a little less fulfilling. It depends though, because sometimes that's not true. But I could see how if this was a movie I'd grown up on, I probably would maybe not have this as highly rated. But for me, this is a first time watch, and seeing Heath Ledger perform in a way that stole the hearts of so many people when he kind of exploded onto the scene. And I just think it's a really clever, fun way to adapt a Shakespeare, rather forgettable Shakespeare book. And I just thought that was a really just cool example of what you can do in adaptation. Clueless is the other one that comes to mind, but I think this is the better of those 2 films personally. I had a good time with 10 Things I Hate About You, so I wanted to shout it out here and give it an honorable mention.
Super fun film. And again, speaking to our generation, in a lot of ways, and it feels like a time capsule, and like you said, Heath Ledger, like just seeing just a tragedy that he's not around, and like, but getting to see him in his like youthful in this film.
We've also covered A Knight's Tale like not that long ago, so it's like we've done doubled up with Heath Ledger now. Yeah,
it's a good film. I really enjoy it. As far as that kind of like,
are we all 5 now so far? Or all 4, however many we've done, have all been
3
unique?
3 so far are unique,
3, okay.
Yeah, I'll jump in. This will be number 4. This is my other.
Keep the streak going. It'd be crazy. There's no way. There's no way.
No way. No, this is gonna blow the top off. Yeah. Honorable mention: Murderbot, season 1.
Okay, not on my list. We're 4 for 4.
That's awesome. This is what I was saying when I was looking at worst watch. I felt like there's nothing to pick from. I thought everything was like solid and good. I enjoyed a lot.
There's a lot of really good ones too that we're struggling, because like I'm not against it. I'm just go ahead and say, I'm like, I hear that, I'm like, yeah, it was good. It was good. It didn't make my top 5, but it was good.
I think that the show has some room to really, really soar and become like one of the best shows on TV. But I loved watching the show. I thought it was so fun. I thought that like there were some areas that I was like, I feels a little TV-ish. Like I'd like to see them take this more seriously or that. The Sanctuary Moon stuff just like played so well, and it's so funny to see. Skarsgård carries this character in a way that I was a little worried about going in, and like I just like
he had to grow on me. That performance had to grow on me, but it did. I will say, I was happy to report that it did.
A good time throughout, and it's like seeing Apple TV make a show like this and get another season right away. Like I'm excited for more, and especially knowing like that everything I hear about the books getting better, like it's gonna be really
definitely
cool.
Excited for more. I think that's what it is for me. Once again, like the second book, I like better than the first book, and I think this show has potential to become one of my favorites. One of my favorite current shows, maybe even more than that. But like, it's not there yet. So I'm almost detracting like a point or two for like what I think the potential that is there that I'm not seeing realized yet, and I hope it gets there. I really do, because I love Murderbot just as a character and as a series, and and as a project that we're going to continue to go back to.
It's good. It makes me really happy that I liked it as much as I did, and it's only going to get better. So fingers crossed. Let's
All
do
right,
it.
so we're 4 for 4 now. Different projects. Can we go 5 for 5?
There's a possibility of 10 things being different, and
that would be insane. That would be the first time that's ever happened, guaranteed. We already might be in uncharted territory. So my next honorable mention was The Long Walk film.
Okay.
I liked this a lot, but as you will remember, The Long Walk was my favorite book I read this year. So it didn't quite rise to the level. So I don't know if maybe that holds it back. But like ultimately it's such a good movie, and I was thinking about how like I feel like The Running Man is such a more well-known property, and I get asked about it more. And I just want to point people towards The Long Walk. I'm like, if you're going to watch a Stephen King adaptation from this year, go to that. I mean, I haven't seen Welcome to Derry, and I don't know if you could really call that a Stephen King adaptation. We'll see. I do want to watch some more Welcome to Derry, and maybe we'll do a little bonus on that.
Yeah, we should do it. I've been watching a fair amount of it, and
I haven't seen
people are enjoying it. I like it well enough, so I feel
like it's kind of divisive. Yeah. I don't know how I'm going to come down on it. I'm curious to see.
Well, it's like the what do we call it? This is like the grandfather of the show. Like it's like what started us out. So it's like
the project. Yeah, it was our very first thing we did.
We have to talk about it. I think it's a clear bonus next year.
Yeah, but anyway, I thought this was a good movie. I didn't necessarily agree with all the changes that were made. Not that there were a ton, but there were some significant changes, especially to the end. I thought some of the end was a little bit underwhelming, and that's one of the things that holds it back a little bit. As much as it was still good, and people can disagree, I think I prefer the ending of the book personally. So there's just a little bit enough to knock it down. But I mean, especially for being kind of a low budget movie, you told me about how they shot it sequentially, which I think is a really cool detail. There's just some fun things that I really liked about this movie, and ultimately it's not quite my top choice, but it's right there, and my third honorable mention.
It's my runner-up. It's my second favorite of the year.
So we have our first co-title here.
Cast incredible. I think we're seeing a lot of rising stars that are going to be huge for years to come. I think that I think that it's like a well shot film. I liked it. I thought it was cool that they shot it sequentially. It didn't like blow me away as far as that stuff is concerned, but it didn't need to, because I felt like the story was so strong. They really hit on the brotherhood stuff that like sold me on what the story like it pulled on the heartstrings. And I think that like in building all of that, that's performance, that's story related, and situationally, like just seeing the plot sort of expand and like before us, like seeing it rolled out before us. And then ultimately the change I thought was timely, and I thought that it was like something that I was reacting to. I thought I just think it's like I want to see bold,
a good message
takes. I want to see things that are emblematic of
it took a more nihilist kind of hopeless story and moved it into a place with a little more hope, even though it is
a little more hope and a little more, for sure. Of like no matter how this the odds are stacked against you, like you can still kind of face those down. And I don't know. Especially if that month or leading up to that film, like I really felt like it was a film that we needed, and it hit at the perfect time. And I think audiences reacted to it that way. So yeah, it was my runner-up of the year.
Cool, man. All right, so we finally agree on one. I guess I'll hit you now with my runner-up, which was A.K.A. or Akira. However, I don't know. Yeah. However, my American voice wants to pronounce it.
Yeah, it's my best watch of the year. That was my number one.
It's your best watch. Yeah, I thought it might be. Fantastic.
I think we're gonna agree on the next two, actually. But
I think we've reached the point of like this is agreement territory. But different order. We've had different order here, so it sounds like this was my runner-up. I was kind of like hedging bets a little bit with recency bias, and again, this is one that I'd seen for the first time, so it's also like I'm very new to it, and I'm gonna like kind of leave space for that. But man, we just raved about this on our episodes on Akira, but like handcrafted, they don't make them like this anymore, literally, and absolutely stunning animation, artwork. And then the story itself just goes to this other level that isn't quite there in the manga yet, where it gets super heady and bizarre and ambiguous. And it led to some really interesting discussions between the two of us, which always kind of gives me bonus points for something. Like I love stuff like that. It was one of the more fun, heady conversations we were able to have this year, I think. And yeah, gosh, just such a cool project that like unlocked so many things for me of like connection points and seeing how this fits in. So just really, really cool, man. I want to hear you talk about it too, though.
I mean, like you said, we just talked about it. Please check out that episode. The film, I mean, it's like Otomo created the manga and at the same time created the film, and it's a masterclass. It's a kind of a masterclass in both, and like the animation in this film is unlike anything that we maybe have seen or ever will see. It is like so meticulous. It's so iconic. I mean, just like we talk about how like the Akira slide and all the things that go into the film are iconic and carry forward and everybody talks about, but like it's about so much more than that.
Yeah, it's just one little moment too. Like we talk about it more than it even deserves to be talked about. It's a cool moment, but it's just a little moment in this movie.
It's just like the most referenced thing ever because it's a film that really struck a chord with a lot of people and like built this world, like defined kind of Japanese cyberpunk, or at least like was kind
cyberpunk
of in that
in the East, you know.
It's just a really powerful story that was was taken to some really interesting lengths, and to do all of that while walking the high wire of like, you know, writing the manga, making a satisfying ending for both of them at the same time. And like this is like a partial story in the film, and yet still like it feels so complete and so well realized, and it's like got dark elements and it's funny, and it's like, I don't know, it's everything that I love about this medium and just the sci-fi in general. I think it really spoke to my sensibility, so that was my favorite watch of the year.
This was just such a cool experience for me too, reading the manga and then watching it right then. I think that was like the best way for my first ever watch. So if you haven't ever read anything by Akira and you want to go for the best experience, honestly, pick up the first 3 volumes, read them all, and then watch the anime. Because, man, it was a great way to do it. Because it doesn't spoil everything that happens in the anime, but it also provides a lot of context that you might otherwise miss in the movie, you know. And I think that was one of the things I was seeing from people. There was a lot of confusion around the movie, and I didn't feel as confused because I had all this prior knowledge from reading the first 3 volumes. It was really cool, and I think it really helped me experience that to the fullest.
My honorable mention, and this is kind of crazy, I almost put this a lot higher, but it's Nosferatu, and then I cheated, and I also said Nosferatu Symphony of Horror and Nosferatu the Vampire, like all 3.
No, I'm rioting. I'm gonna make you choose. I'm not gonna allow. You can't choose all 3.
It's Nosferatu, Edgar's, but
okay,
because I just found it to be so rich. I mean, the Nosferatu Symphony of Horror is like, again, it's one of the most like revolutionary films of the time period, like the German Expressionist
I agree
movement,
with all that.
and like, it's incredibly powerful.
It's not. Yeah, it's not. It wasn't the best watch. Come on.
But in watching all of them together, I think it built up to some of my favorite watching experiences.
I'll agree with that. And the Herzog film was really interesting and definitely is one
it's
worth
really cool.
fitting into the
better than I expected it to be, because I hadn't seen that one.
Yeah, tapestry of what Nosferatu is.
Yeah. And it's like in response to, right, like Nosferatu Symphony of Horror is like in response to the rise of Nazi power, and then Nosferatu the Vampire, the Herzog film, is like a German filmmaker responding to the horrors that had been done and all this other stuff, and the guilt of that. And it's what a fascinating look at Dracula into these 3 different adaptations, and then Eggers comes in.
It's so crazy. We haven't even we never talked about Francis Ford Coppola's Dracula film, which is like super highly well regarded, right?
I know, and that's all a part of this as well. So that, you know, that I just really loved what we did with Dracula.
But ultimately, we're talking about the Eggers film. That's the one you chose.
Yeah, Eggers film. I just think like he's a filmmaker who is walking into each project that he tackles with such vision and like such love for material like this. Like he understood Nosferatu better, and like specifically what people liked about Nosferatu, and then the elements that could be extrapolated out. It's horrific, it's grotesque, it's also captivating, and like there's that trance that vampires can put you under. This really off-putting Skarsgård experience, like Bill Skarsgård like performance is like it's magnetic. Like you're just watching it and you're drawn into it as well, and like the overall like the tension of the film, and that scene where they're next to the fireside and the like how intense that is.
Yeah, the dinner sequence. That's awesome. That's my favorite. That's my favorite sequence from the movie. Absolutely incredible.
So many other elements. Just like I could talk about it forever. It's a great film.
Well, it was my winner, so I'm giving it the more juice here because that was I think that's my favorite watch. And part of it was like recency bias of just having watched Akira, and we watched this at the beginning of the year. It was one of the first things we watched, so there's a lot of distance there. And honestly, I haven't rewatched it since I saw it in the theater. So with that caveat out of the way, I just remember really fucking loving this thing. I felt it was so profound in many ways. It was loving sort of remake of something that is iconic and yet does something different enough to where it feels like it deserves to be there. And then, yeah, there's sequences we've talked about that were absolutely incredible, especially that dinner scene. And just bold filmmaking, going for it, trying things, being divisive, which I kind of give him credit for. He's definitely divisive, and not everybody loved this movie. But I love that stuff, man. And he's super historically accurate. He got these incredible performances that I particularly loved. For me, this was my favorite watch of the year. I want more ambitious, wild movies like this to get made. And I want to continue to give them their laurels because, I think this is fantastic. I'm really curious to see what Eggers ends up putting out next. I've heard he's maybe making a Christmas Carol. I know Werewolf is coming.
Werewolf, yeah.
Which I'm excited about. I don't know if that has any sort of source to it or if it's just like the mythology around werewolves. I'm not really sure.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
But
I love that he's operating in the space though too. And his films are so rich, like the set design, the meticulous like camera work and everything that builds this atmosphere.
True auteur filmmaker, also, right? Which we love auteur filmmakers on this podcast.
And Lily Rose Depp's performance too, she's just good. She's maybe the best actor in the film, and she gives this insane performance, and it's all wrapped in this. Like I said, it's how is this a sexy, scary, how is it capturing all of the Dracula things and still being so grotesque and grounded and I don't know.
What a project that was to start the year off. I love that we had this massive project where we did multiple books, multiple movies. It's or I guess one book, but multiple movies and tracked it through being Dracula to becoming Nosferatu to becoming modern Nosferatu, and then even with the bonus.
And one of the things that we're about to move into upcoming adaptations, we're looking forward to stuff, and something that we've already covered that I know that we're going to cover next year that's in the same vein is Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein.
Yeah. Absolutely, yeah. I was going to say that's on my list of things I'm looking forward to. Let's move into it now, man. That was our best, but yeah, let's talk about things we're looking forward to in 2026.
I think we might start out the year in a similar way with a really iconic horror project, and we've already, like I said, we've covered Mary Shelley's Frankenstein literally as a bonus episode, but also the original novel, and then also
you're talking about the Branagh film.
Yeah, and then also the original Karloff. I can't think of the director right now, but
James Whale.
Yeah, James Whale adaptation. So we've kind of ventured into that territory, and now we're gonna watch this new adaptation of one of my favorite filmmakers. I haven't seen it yet.
Okay, I have seen it, so I'll be really curious to hear your thoughts on it, man. Yeah, that'll be a fun one. Yeah, maybe wait to watch it, and you'll have that fresh experience.
I think I will. I think we're gonna cover it earlier in the year. That's kind of something we've talked about.
I think so. Yeah, I don't know if it'll be our first, but it'll definitely be early. Do you want? Let's talk about some other things we're looking forward to in the new year. This is something we've talked about a few times, so I'm going to highlight it again. The Odyssey is being made by Christopher Nolan, and I know it's already getting a lot of people talking about it on the internet, having hot takes about historical accuracy and it not looking the right way. Fine. I don't care. I'm excited to see it. I love Christopher Nolan. We covered The Prestige recently, and I was like, holy shit, I forgot how good The Prestige is as a movie. It's incredible. I'm excited with this. Will it live up to the hype? I don't know. But I think this is a prime contender for a project for us because we can cover the Odyssey, which is a classic, massive tale that is something we should absolutely cover on this podcast.
Yeah. In terms of things that you read in school, I remember reading the Odyssey and being like, oh my God, this is my shit. This is amazing. So I can't wait for Nolan to adapt it. I went and saw the new Avatar movie, and they had the trailer of
nice.
Before, and I didn't want to watch any trailers, but I was in the theater and I got caught up into it. It's just a scene from the film. He shot it entirely on IMAX cameras. This is the first time it's ever been done in anyone's ever shot an entire film on IMAX. I'm gonna go see this in 70mm 15 perf. I'm gonna do the fucking thing.
Yeah,
I'm excited.
You got to for Nolan.
I just and for him to be an advocate for those sort of large formats and what you get visually from that. I'm fucking excited for the Odyssey. That's I don't know how you cannot be. You can naysay it if you want to, but he's doing things that are helpful and important for filmmaking.
You got any other ones you want to highlight?
Yeah. Dune Messiah is coming out next year.
Dune Messiah. Hell yeah, dude. I just saw Fonda again recently. She came back to Portland. We hung out a little bit. I mentioned to her again. We talked to her about it at WorldCon. She's down, she says. So hopefully we'll be able to get Fonda on, schedules permitting, to round out the trilogy of these Denis Villeneuve films that we are, champions of. I refuse to hear bad words being said about this movie. I just fucking love these two. These two movies are so good.
I don't know how the third one's going to come out. But the first two have led me to believe it's going to be incredible, and it's going to be like a landmark film for this generation. So it's going to be. I'm excited.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard for me to imagine it surpassing the second film, which I think was I called it The Empire Strikes Back of our generation. That's the kind of praise I was putting on that movie. And I still stand by that. Will Doom Messiah be able to rise to that level? I don't know. I haven't read the book yet. Excited to do that. Excited to do more Dune. I heard it's coming out in December, so there's a chance it might get pushed. It might get pushed till 2027 as far as like our coverage.
We'll see. Either way, I think we're gonna have Fonda on. We'll move heaven and earth to have her on if she wants to be. So we'll make the schedule work. We'll wait. So some other ones that are definitely coming up that we've talked about on the podcast and off. Project Hail Mary is coming out.
Hell yeah, dude! I'm so excited. That trailer looks so good. I tried to avoid watching it for so long, but then finally it was the same kind of thing. I was like in a movie theater and it comes on and I'm like, I'm just gonna watch this trailer, man. Whatever. So good. They have this like remix of a Harry Styles song in it that I had no idea it was Harry Styles. Sign of the Times. And like I went and found that remix because I like that remix better. Like because I went and listened to the original. I'm like, the original's good, but I like that remix better. It's more epic. It really works for the trailer. And I'm like,
it really does. It makes it feel really epic. And I don't know.
Great trailer, man. And I do love a good trailer. And I think this is an excellent trailer. Maybe gives away a little too much of the story, I will admit that, but I understand why they did it.
There's an art to trailers, and I've always been a fan. And like seeing this, I had heard don't see it because there's a major spoiler in it, but I'm gonna, if the movie's good, I'm gonna like it either way. So I'll be fine. I'm not the person that like.
It is kind of a bummer now because I will go into that book knowing that spoiler. It's an impossible spoiler to you're not gonna forget. Once you see this in the trailer, you know it.
Yeah, a few other things that I'll rattle off. Wuthering Heights, Emily Bronte's.
Oh yeah, I've been hearing about this. This looks weird, which is kind of exciting.
Well, it's Emerald Fennell, who we've talked about previously.
Who's that?
She did like Saltburn. She did Saltburn. She did like Promising Young Women. She's a really great filmmaker, and I like her. I like her voice in the space.
I've heard that this might be a little meta or something. Like I think it's going to be like theorizing about this. Yeah,
I think that it's going to be a step away from the traditional values of the original source material, which I have not read, so I'm just speaking out of turn.
I think that'd be a great one to cover, man. And a prime one to bring a guest on for too.
Yeah, but also like this is like a space that like when we jump into like a Pride and Prejudice or something like that, it takes us out of our comfort zone, and we have great conversations around it, and they're usually really fun to cover.
For sure.
This one looks like it's going to be a wild, horny adaptation. Yeah, that, like everybody, like it's going to be one that we should cover.
Yeah.
So the trailer keeps coming up. It's got like Jacob Elordi and Margot Robbie. Like it's gonna be a big movie. So
I will mention last year I highlighted this. I'm gonna highlight it again because it's still not out yet. But Dungeon Crawler Carl is just continuing to explode. And I met Matt Denneman at Dragonsteel last year. Saw him again at World Fantasy. WorldCon. Did you talk to Matt Denneman at all, or is that just maybe I just talked to him?
Yeah, you talked to him. I saw him. I didn't get a chance to talk to him, no. But he seems like I've seen his stuff online, and like I'm a fan. He was cracking me up the other day about like he thinks like sci-fi, like a romantasy sci-fi kind of thing is coming on. Like he was talking to Sanderson.
Sci-mance. I've heard some different names being tossed around for it.
Anyway, he said like that's the next big thing, and he was kind of joking, but also like it kind of worked. And he was talking to like Sanderson and some other people on a panel, and I'm excited to read that. I've heard some of my good friends have said like, hey, I'm reading this whole series, it's fucking awesome, you're gonna love it. So
yeah, it reminds me of like some of the way people talked about Ready Player One, but like in a different area because it's I mean I guess it is kind of similar, that sort of the kind of gamified way of reading something, but like I don't know, I'm excited, man. I just hear that it's just relentlessly fun and readable. So I'm really excited to read it, and I'm just curious to see what an adaptation of this looks like. I know it got like a webcomic thing that's coming out at some points, or maybe it's already out. I don't know. So it's just been blowing up. I will say a couple others on the horizon. I'm not sure that we're going to cover either of these, but they're strong potentials because we were talking about how Oscar season's coming up in a few months, and we usually like to cover something around that season that is probably going to be up for some awards. So 2 potential adaptations: Hamnet, which has been getting a lot of praise. I've been hearing a lot of people loving this movie. I think Laura from The Book Wins, I think she seems like she really loves it from what I've seen. I didn't watch her review, but like, you know, because I didn't want to be spoiled, but it seems like she really liked it. And then One Battle After Another, Paul Thomas Anderson, who I know is like maybe your favorite director, definitely up there.
There's a period of time where I was saying he's my favorite director, like when I was in film school, and he still continues to be one of my favorite. And that movie's fucking amazing. It's awesome. I would love to talk about it.
Cool movie. I would be curious to revisit it and read the source material because I hear interesting things about that too. So those are both, I would say, potential projects you could look forward to us probably covering in the new year, at least one of them.
Hamnet could be cool too. Like I've heard good things about that, and we have some conversations to have about that one for sure. We have some stuff we could talk about. Anyway, that's a lot of what I was thinking. The only other thing is that that Greta Gerwig Narnia is still being developed and will come out at some point, supposedly next year. So that would be another
There's
one.
There's a lot of things that we've talked about that have been mentioned, but then I haven't heard anything since. So I don't know if it's going to happen, and maybe it will drop in the middle of the year. Maybe we'll get like the Dark Tower or something. From Flanagan's Dark Tower or something. Who knows? But I do want to say I want to just put it into the aether of an adaptation that I would love to do next year if we get a chance. That's Stalker. I would love to return to Tarkovsky.
Let's fucking do it,
and
dude.
do it. I'm ready for something just super weird and heady, and like as much fun as I had with Solaris. Something about Stalker just has an aura to it, and I feel like there's like a legend around the making of that movie, and I'm excited. I want to cover that one.
I think I've told you before that and Mirror, like two of my favorite Tarkovsky films, and that one specifically, Stalker, is like. I just have, I mean, I've studied that film. I've seen it quite a few times. I have my whole Criterion selection up there. Awesome. It's among that.
I just want to watch it. I haven't watched it yet, but I'm like, we gotta get this thing on the podcast so I can watch it.
He's the kind of filmmaker that just like, he like, I don't know, he set the tone for like so many people who'd come after, and like he created capital A art. Yeah. And like, I just like,
we got to get our like pretentious choice in there every now and then, right?
Definitely. Yeah.
All right, man. So we're can't believe, I thought we were going to be a little quicker this year, but we're going long, but I still want to at least take a moment here at the end to reflect a little bit personally. How was your year, man? I know that there was a couple of big things that happened.
It was awesome. It was an incredible year. I worked on a lot of fun things professionally. Obviously we did a lot with the podcast.
Yeah.
We got to do our first live show. I think going forward, I would really love to do a lot more of that. It was just so cool to connect with people in that space and on that level. And then also to like, see the response to having like a Martha Wells and meeting, really just like getting to interact and like collaborate with somebody like that. It was so much fun. Got married this year. That was huge. It was definitely I've been together with my partner, your sister, for 10 years now. Yeah. So it was a long time
officially
coming, but it was
my brother-in-law now.
It was amazing, and it was like everything we wanted it to be, and beautiful I was just so great blown away, and it was incredible. And then we rolled that into like a dream trip of going to Japan, which was like so enriching for me and inspiring, and like I just like, I don't know, I'm still going through all my footage that I shot and photos and stuff, and like I don't know what I'm gonna do. I'm thinking I'm gonna make videos and stuff with it, and like I'm looking forward to like kind of getting creative with that. And then it was a huge year, and it feels like in the next one a ton of other changes and interesting things are gonna happen. So I'm looking forward to just kind of going in with an open mind. And like I think my big thing I've been telling people if they ask is like really want to be like present and grounded, and like try to internalize gratefulness, and like try like those are all things that I'm like actively thinking about on a day-to-day basis of like you only get so much time, and
you're entering your first full year of being a married man.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So those are all things that are like currently going on. I want to do more with the podcast. I'm looking like I have a lot of like plans for things professionally, and just like in terms of like shooting and creating. So a lot of good stuff on the horizon. How about you?
Yeah, man, it was a mixed bag some ways. Like I would say professionally, it's been a year of some frustrating delays. There's still a few queries I'm waiting on in my previous book, but I'm not holding my breath on them. I got to the point where I'm like I could pursue independent presses, and I may still do that down the line. But I'm sort of strategically deciding to hold the book for now and focus on the next book because I feel really fucking good about this next book. I'm very excited about it. It's I'm entering year 2 now. I'm working on it, but I've got a lot of deadlines I've given myself. I've got a workshop coming up where I've committed to having the book done by that workshop, which is like mid-year next year, basically. So I'm very excited about this project. I've talked about it a little bit on the podcast before, that it's this kind of like gas lamp, dark fantasy, secondary world thing. It's going to be about memory. It's going to be about a serial killer. It's a mystery. It's going to be set around a World's Fair type event. So there's a lot of cool little details I can drop, but like my excitement for this, I'm wanting to lead with, right? And let that outshine some disappointment I felt around the last book. Because I still believe in that other book. I was disappointed in the finding a literary agent who also believed in it proved quite difficult. But we'll see. So anyway, that's where I'm at professionally. But like personally, we had our 10-year anniversary this year, my wife and I, which is crazy that we've been married for 10 years.
That's wild,
kind of unbelievable. And yeah, we had a really lovely trip out to the coast that we ended up doing. We kind of added onto our vows, and kind of renewed them, kind of added onto them. It was a cool thing.
Is that like in a public ceremony or just kind of personal?
No, it was just the two of us. We kept it kind of private. It wasn't like an actual like renewal in that sense where you have like an actual officiant or something. But it's just something that we kind of want to like personally do, where we like read our vows from the wedding, but then add to them. And that's something that now we're considering doing every 10 years, kind of like add on some additional vows and kind of go through them.
That's awesome.
So it's kind of like a little tradition we're going to do, and I feel really good about that. And then, I also turned 40, which is crazy. Big milestone moment in my life, obviously, and I don't feel 40. People tell me I don't look 40, which, thank you, I guess. But some days I feel 40, like, as far as like my joints and my knees and that kind of stuff. But no, it's still crazy because like, in some ways I want to stay a kid at heart, and I think I am. So, it's wild. It's surreal. I had a really fun trivia event that I hosted where I, was like the MC basically and developed a list of like 40 trivia questions and ran through a big group of friends with that. It was just a really cool experience. And yeah, man, you've already talked about it, podcast, with the live show and everything. I think, I'm really pleased with where we're at right now. I think for years have been going, I really hope we can hit 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, and like happy to report we're well past that now. We're getting closer to like 1,200, I think. I'd love to continue to get that number higher. Of course, number higher, always good. But it's just I want to like take a moment and appreciate the fact that we did our live show and we got there, and that's something we've been chasing for a long time. And I don't know, I'm proud of it. I'm proud of what we've been doing, and I'm looking forward to continuing to do it. I guess let's just go ahead and wrap it up here, man. Sometimes we really look ahead. I guess the one thing I'll say is midterms coming up, going to be important. Let's just say
guys,
that we want to fight back against a lot of the fucking dark horseshit that's going on in this country that we just don't have time to get into. I want to fucking start fighting back. You know what I mean? Like, this has been a rough year where we've taken some real blows. It's been some down times politically, but I think there is some light at the end of this tunnel, I hope, in the sense of I'm seeing some, like Mamdani winning in New York. Like, there's been some signs, I think, that maybe we're finally seeing a groundswell of like actually exciting, younger, progressive ideas coming in with like fresh takes and hopefully some energy that we can carry. We'll see. We're just two dudes on a podcast, but I hope that the country can get its shit together.
When we're day to day seeing like just like horrific shit happening, it's like it's really difficult. That's like the dark specter that like I'm getting married, like all these things, like professionally things are going well. All
it's so hard because you get so cynical, right? Like I'm just like I hear it now, like anything. The fucking news comes out about there's a tip in the Epstein files about maybe Trump like witnessed his own baby getting murdered with this woman. I don't know if you even heard about this.
Yeah, I heard about it.
And I'm just like, it's not gonna make a difference. You know what I mean? Like, because the people who love him, they're not gonna believe it. But I also, like, as much as I'm cynical, I want to believe that it's chipping away. Yeah. And then I have to just remind myself that he will never be on the ballot again, because that motherfucker is not running for a third term. We're not gonna allow it. So it's now gonna be about moving on and surviving. Hopefully his term, which is unfortunately quite dark.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's easy for us to say and harder for like a lot of other people. Yeah, so it's like
take care of each other. Yeah, for sure.
It's crazy out
people
there,
need
dude.
it.
Like, I think we're gonna look back. It's gonna be a really dark time, and so like it's hard to like also like as an individual find a way through this.
Yeah,
and then also
still live
like,
your life, right? Like still find happiness and all this stuff. It's like hard.
If you have empathy, you look around and you just see stuff happening that you just it's hard to think that like there are ways to stop this, and like I think that long term things will get better, but right now it's bad, and I think we're gonna look back and it's gonna seem.
And my point about mentioning how it's hard to not get just so cynical about it is like you also have to fight that urge and like keep your outrage and like don't just become numb to it. Because we all have been inundated with this shit now for years.
Yeah. Well, it's a tactic. Like, you know, it's
and
like
if you flood the zone, it's a tactic.
Yeah.
Was it Steve Bannon talked about? Like, it's all planned, and they're doing it, and it is effective, and it does make people get numb to it, or people just disconnect from politics. Unfortunately, I think I see that a lot. People just being like, it's just not worth getting into, so they just disconnect from it completely. Anyway, so bummer, but you know that's the state of the country. And then, trying to find a balance between that and then, like, personally being like, I want to have a good year.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, it just feels so, like, I don't know, it feels very privileged,
or
obviously.
The fucking looming threat of AI. Like, that wasn't even something we were talking about a year ago. And then this year it has been like, everything. It's like it has become an existential threat to art itself. My thoughts around it have definitely solidified a lot more. I think I was a lot more, like, I didn't really know exactly how to feel about some of it, but, like, man, I really think it needs some strong regulation. I think as a technology, obviously it has its uses, but I think generative AI and specifically large language models and the effect that it's having on art is chilling. And the way that is destroying the internet as we know it, the social internet as we know it, it's destroying our ability to believe the things we see and hear and read as being authentic and from a human perspective. It's eroding all of that, and I think it has really chilling effects right now on society, and I don't know where that's going, and it's scary shit.
Yeah, and yet we got to carry on. It's
crazy.
Carry on. Like, I don't know what the future holds, and I'm hopeful. You know, I remain ever hopeful, but I also think that like people need to do what they can to resist some of this stuff, and definitely like be intentional.
Support politicians who have thoughts on AI and like a plan for how to regulate it. Like, this needs to become a salient political point that I think we need to be doing.
On a personal level, like kind of understand, don't co-sign this stuff.
Yeah, reject it. I've started being the kind of person who just like, I don't want it in anything. I don't want it in my apps. I don't want it being shoved down my throat, which is constantly being shoved down our throat. I saw somebody tweet somewhere that like this whole AI thing has felt so non-consensual. And I totally agree with that. It's just being forced upon us. And there's so much money riding on it working that's why it's happening now. And it's going to continue to be a thing. So
let's end on a hopeful note here.
What's our hopeful note? Let's find a hopeful note to end on.
With everything that I've seen with it, all of that, I continue to believe in like the humanity being something that's like not replicatable in the same way. So I'm still kind of optimistic where we're at. I think like the implication 100 years from now is crazy, but like as we're in our day to day right now, I think you can decide to lean towards things that are tactile, lean towards things that are true to you, that speak to you, that resonate with you, and then also just generally connect with human beings. Like try to.
I think it has clarified for myself why I value art and why I want to make it. And what about the process is rewarding, and what about consuming art is rewarding. And yeah, that this has really laid that bare in a way that I'm going to take as a silver lining. It has forced me to think about art in a different way.
Yeah. And I think being a smarter consumer of art in that way too, like kind of like if Coca-Cola wants to make their AI ads, you can mute that and shut the TV off or do whatever it takes. Like I'm just saying, like it's like we don't have to necessarily think.
Yeah,
like,
keep pushing back on them, call them out, shame them. So if you enjoyed this episode, please let us know in the form of a rating and review on whatever app you chose to listen on. Let us know what adaptations you're looking forward to if you didn't hear us talk about any. Also, let us know your top 5, your top 10, whatever you want to do, whether it's adaptations that we covered or ones, that we didn't. I'm always excited to hear about that from people. So leave them in the comments below, whatever app you're listening on. If you're on YouTube, of course, that's one where we love to have that, and make sure to like the video.
And be sure to connect with us on social media. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Blue Sky, TikTok, all of those at Ink to Film.
And if you'd like to support this podcast in another way, we do have a Patreon. It's where all those bonus episodes we've been talking about are located. It's also where you can vote on projects like we talked about with A.K.A. That was a Patreon selection. We had several of those. I think 10 Things I Hate About You was one. We had several this year. We try and do at least 4 of them every year. And if you want to have your vote cast on that, have your voice heard, you're going to want to be on Patreon, patreon.com/inktofilm.
We also have a bookshop. You can find it in the show notes of wherever you're listening to this on. And basically what that is if you're planning to buy any of the books of any of the projects that we talk about, it doesn't cost you any more, but if you use that link it will give us a kickback, and we would appreciate that. It'll help the show continue as it is.
Absolutely. All right, man. That's going to be it for 2025. So until next year,
keep adapting.